What's going on, guys? This is Jonas with BlueJuju.com, and we got another tutorial lined up for you. This one's going to be a doozy. Um, I've been requested to explain matting a little bit, and in my first attempts, I thought it was pretty simple, but then I realized this is actually going to be pretty in-depth. So this will probably be a two-part tutorial, but I'm going to do my best to try to explain it to you in the simplest way possible. That being said, I have this example set up for you. What I have here is just a white solid and a green solid. The green solid has a oval mask put around it. Now, believe it or not, I have just made a mat. This mask is a mat. Now, you're going to be using two different kinds of mats. There's an alpha mat and then there's a luma mat. The difference between the two is an alpha mat only sees solid colors. It's the alpha of the colors, the RGB plus alpha. So with this green, if I hit alpha mat, then it sees right through to the bottom and only sees the mat that I made, the solid green. And if you invert it, then it does the exact opposite. It turns the solid green transparent. So that's your mat. The same principles apply in green screening, only it has a complex algorithm that it puts it through and makes a mat for you. Later on in this tutorial, I'm going to discuss track mats a little bit more in depth. But moving on to a luma mat. All right, let's do no track mat. Okay, since we're back to normal now, we got a green and our white background. We're going to go over to the luma mat. Now, as you can see, the luma mat didn't take out the solid layer. It took out the luminance of the layer, which means it's looking at its white pixels. That's why it took out the coloring, but it's only seeing the white pixels. That's why it's semi-transparent right here. Now, if you look at the luma mat inverted, it does the exact opposite, but it's still looking at the luminance of the green layer. So you can see it's semi-transparent but not 100% transparent. Now with a alpha mat you would have these harsh lines or a harsh cutout solid piece. With a luma mat you're just looking at the brighter pixels. Now to try to explain that in a real life scenario, I got this little example lined up for you. I know you're excited. And this is going to be the first part. It's a sky replacement, and this is how we're going to go about doing this. Composition, new composition, 1280 by 720, 30 frames a second. Okay. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our footage. It's right here. Alright, and we're going to trim this down. We got a little more room to play with. Alright. So, we are located somewhere in Taiwan. I actually got this footage off of Vimeo. They have some pretty cool stock footage there, and it's free. I looked over at Artbeats, but I think they wanted like $200 for some stock footage, and that just wasn't happening. So, here we are in Taiwan. But as you can see, our background here, our sky, that's what's important. It's really blown out in white. Well, to do a sky replacement, that's exactly what you want. Now, if you were shooting this footage yourself, what you want to do is turn up your ISO on your camera. That way, you'd have these really blown out white colors, and and then the dark colors would be, appropriately dark. But for this case, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our footage. All right, so now we have two, and we're going to take the top layer, and we're going to go to Layer, or Effects, Color Correction, Colorama. And then we are going to go to our output cycle. And what we're doing here is we're going to turn it to a ramp gray. Now doing this, we have done one of two things. We have turned it black and white, and that's what you need for a matte, because you're going to get the best matte out of those two colors. If you're looking at a lumens matte, if it's all white, it's gonna take out all the white areas. Now if it's alpha matte, those are a little bit harder to control and usually takes some rotoscoping, and you're going to have to make a mask and track the mask and whatnot. So in this case, what we're going to do is I'm going to select about 9 o'clock over here. I'm going to do a black point. Okay, so now we have this ramp cycle. It starts black and white, and what we're doing is we're just bringing all those blacks in as far as we can, and that's about as far as we can get it right there. But as you can see, there's still some white areas, and you know, we will deal with that as they come. But let's bring it down to right about there-ish, I guess. Okay, but what we've done here is we've made the black parts really black and the white parts really white. Now to get more definition, I said this in my last tutorial, what you do is you click in the middle, you do white, okay, and this is going to bring out all your gray colors. But for this one we're going to go for extreme, and we're going to go these black colors here. Okay, so now what we've done is basically this black and white. So what we need to do is we need to take this luminance and we have to refer to itself. So what we're going to do is lumimat inverted. Now as you can see behind here, everything has been taken out as far as that goes. The sky is gone. Alright, unfortunately, so is all of our really white colors. Anything that matched the sky that we crushed out is obviously disappearing as well. So if we put anything back there, like say layer new solid, we'll go orange solid. Okay, drop that behind there. Okay, you can see how everything is showing up orange. That's, you know, obviously a problem. So what we do to fix that is to grab another layer. Now I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, well, you just put the sky back in there. Yes, I did, but for good reason. Doing that, I now have separation between the two. So I have a little bit more control, plus if I take this layer, let's see here, and solo it out, I can take my pen tool and I can put all that detail back in like so, and then turn this layer back on. Okay, now I have something I can work with. Now obviously to put something in the background here, we would do the same thing that we just did. Let's say bring this out. Okay, now we have this orange background, but as you can see we have all of our detail back in our shot, so that works out rather well. Now obviously you can clean this up a little bit. The great part about making a matte the way that we did to begin with was that you can go in and adjust it. That's why we did this. So if you didn't want to duplicate the layer and you just wanted to adjust it till you thought it looked right, this would also be a good method of doing so. I hope that explains mattes a little bit for you. Like I said, if you wanted to keep the sky layer, if you wanted to get your detail back in there but you didn't really want to replace that, but you wanted to put something else in there, like, I don't know, say Godzilla, this would be a pretty good method to go about doing so. But I hope that cleared things up a little bit. I am going to go into mattes a little bit deeper on my next tutorial, but for now I hope you got the general basics of mattes. Alright, this has been Jonas with BlueJuju.com, and you have a good one.